know what would happen to Hollywood or what would happen to athletes or what would happen to movie stars if folk were not groupies anymore. I think the industry would still succeed, but I don't know if people would hold it in the kind of esteem that they do. But imagine people just following folk, and that's what they do. They follow folk trying to be like them. And maybe we need to have everybody understand that you are a unique creature made in God's image and fashioned after God's likeness. And if you just develop into being the best that you can be, that's better than a false anybody else who you can't be anyway. The reality is, in humanity, there is a desire to want to worship. What we do is misplace who ought to be worshiped. We worship other people who do what we find difficult to do, and we live our lives through what they do, as opposed to recognizing that they don't deserve our worship. The only one worthy of worship is God, because God has made all of us and given us any ability or capacity or potential that we possess. And so we ought to be thankful for whatever it is we are privileged to achieve, because if we hadn't been given what we were given, we would not have been able to do that anyway.
I'm not here because I have to be here. I'm here by choice, because I understand that currently we are in the material world, and it's like being in a house which is on fire. If you're awake and all your family members are sleeping in a house that's on fire, what kind of individual would you be if you just run out thinking about yourself and leave everybody burned to death? If you can't help somebody, don't hurt them. We're all suffering enough already. Give people more respect than you expect for yourself. And if you got nothing good to say, shut the up, put a harmonica in your mouth. That's why I do it, so people don't recognize you're a fool. That's it. Wake up, sleeping soul. Wake up, sleeping soul.
Happiness has to be within. That being the case, what is important is to know, okay, I have been working all these years. I've gone to college, I got a degree, I tried to get a job, but still I'm where I was. So what is really happiness? And we need to talk to our own self. Hey, Sean, what is wrong? What is lacking with you? And when we do a genuine interaction to our own self, it has always been me, mine. And if you want to go a little bit beyond that, ours. So there's always, we are making a distinction between oneself and others. And that is a very important finding. Why every one of us, ours. So there's always, we are making a distinction in this rat race. Why? Because we have to get to the destination. Because that is ultimately going to be the source of our relative happiness. This is our contention. This is how we understand. So it is that I, me, and mine, which is the very source where we are. That's why the great awakened ones says, maybe sometimes you want to know what you were in your past life. Look where you are now. That is the very reflection as to what you were in the past. Then the great being says, however you want your future to be, look into what you do now. We basically need to reorient, restructure very pattern of our thinking. That is very hard, but our happiness lies right there. Okay?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're different energy centers, and they all have different sounds. So let's try that, okay?
Okay.
Hoo, hoo, hoo. Ho, ho, ho. Ha, 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 ha.
Hey, Austin, what was that quote from Goethe?
Das ewige Weibliche zieht uns hinan. The eternal feminine draws us onward.
Now that I'm over at this woman's house, it's December 21st, 1980. It's about midnight by the time we've gotten around to it, because the full moon is really high in the sky. She's sitting there with her back against the window. I remember everything about her hair, how beautiful she looked. I guess, like a lot of guys, we're just bluffing it. We're only doing what worked with the last woman each time we meet a new woman, right? And at 22, I was a bit tentative. She was 9 years older than I was, more experienced worldly. And she must have understood my tentativeness. All of a sudden, for the first time in my life, it's broached to me that sex isn't about getting to the orgasm, isn't goal-oriented. It's not about goals. It's not about getting to the final end of the journey. It's about enjoying the journey. If you enjoy the journey, it won't matter what your goal is. It won't matter what goal you get, because you don't always get what you want.
See anything you want?
What's good here?
Well, the pastries are real good, and the quiche rocks.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll try the quiche. You get what you get. Life is short. Cram as many women into your life as possible.
How's your salad?
It's good. Yeah, I love lettuce.
Not me.
You've got to grow old gracefully, but you're very mortal, and these experiences only happen in one lifetime, and you've got to grab every single one that goes by. Do you want to watch a movie or anything?
You know what? I can't.
Well, do you want to fool around or anything?
No.
How old are you?
24.
Well, the first thing you need to do is stop calling them girls.
Women?
Okay, that's better. That's the beginning.
Women. Don't understand
Don't
women.
understand them?
No. I mean, I know you do. Why is there such a disconnect between men and women? Why does the eternal feminine draw us forward?
Why does the eternal feminine draw us forward? You mean why does the eternal feminine draw a man forward?
Yeah.
Because that's our function in your life. My function in your life is to call you forth. Now, your function in my life is to call me forth. That is what men and women are here to do for each other. In the Course in Miracles, it says, you think you need to understand a person to know whether or not they deserve your love. But the truth is, unless you love them, you can't understand them. The reason you don't understand women is because you're not loving them enough yet. Every woman is worthy of your love. I'm not saying every woman you're supposed to have sex with or every woman you're supposed to have romance with. But your function as a male is to love every one of them. And if you stand in front of a woman, your thought, it's all silent, it's all telepathic, it's all subconscious. If you, when you're just sitting in front of a woman, your thought is, I know you're gorgeous. You might not be showing to me at the moment, but I invite you because I know that, as you said, eternal feminine dwells within you. And shower me, baby. If that's your thinking, that you really invite a woman to show you how beautiful she is, then in your presence she will. The issue is not how to understand a woman, it's how to love a woman. And that's true about everything in life. And you'll have so much power and you'll remember that I told you that.
That's good. That's really good.
That's what older women are supposed to do for younger men. We teach you the secrets.
Narcissism in us, all of us. We have much too much self-love and not enough love of other people. In fact, our self-love gets in the way of our really loving anybody else. Narcissus, if you may remember your Greek mythology, was a man who couldn't love. He refused the love of the nymph Echo, and for that he was cursed by falling in love with himself. After that curse, he came to a lake. He saw his reflection in the lake, and he was so enamored of his own reflection, he couldn't look at anything else. And so he sat looking at his reflection and starved to death. And eventually he was transformed into the flower, the Narcissus. Now, the scary thing is we're all a little bit like Narcissus. We starve ourselves to death from real emotional nourishment. We starve ourselves of real love.
There's two levels of things going on. There's what you want at the personal level, at the physical level, and then there's what you want at the soul level. The question is that you would ask the cosmos is which one do you want the cosmos to listen to? To what you want on the personal level or to what you want on the soul level? So what we choose for our personal desires, what we think is so eminently important to us, when we actually experience it, we discover isn't. And that's the journey of every soul, regardless of age, no matter where they are. How many people said, if I only get X amount of dollars, if I could only get X amount of orgasms, if I could only have it happen a position just like this one where my everything was touched, then it would be perfect. And then you get to that moment, and it isn't. Because there's always something greater than that in an infinite field of possibilities. You have no way of being able to tell the infinite what is your greatest good. You don't even know it. You wouldn't even recognize it.
What is it that you're actually looking to achieve?
The little things make me very angry. And a lot of times I'm just trying to cover it up.
Somebody else isn't going to change that. You're looking to attract, but what you really want to attract is your real self and your spiritual self. If that's your way, the physical way is your way to reach that little piece of perfection, that momentary peace of mind. At least it'll give you a little hint of what true spiritual perfection is. And that is the simplest thing in the world. That's the hardest thing to get, peace of mind.
So why is it that I want to be unhappy?
We don't realize the world that's available to us until we stop the addictive pattern, the behavior that keeps taking our focus and tying it to the physical plane. You're noticing someone's wearing something that pisses you off. They're saying something that pisses you off. They're looking at you in a way that pisses you off. And you just keep tying yourself to that plane. You're not letting yourself see that everybody's a spirit, just like you, wearing these funky clothes, trying to fit in. You're seeing them as competition. You're seeing them as in your way. You're seeing them as in your face. You're not seeing them as people in the same human struggle that you're in. And as long as you keep tying yourself to the physical plane, you're going to see everything that's wrong with them because you're there too. And it's seeing the beauty in other people that gives you peace of mind. And seeing the physical looks and the stupid shoes is everything that separates you from them. And as long as you see what separates you from them, you're going to be pissed off forever. What's true about the illusion of the physical form? I don't understand.
But this is real.
It's Maya. It's the illusion.
My body is real. What do you mean?
A bunch of electromagnetic energy made up to look like a shirt and the flesh and eyeballs. And when you see through that and you start looking at people in a spiritual form, you realize you're not alone. And when you don't feel alone, you don't feel so damn miserable all the time. The spiritual plane and the physical plane are operating always at the same time. It's all operating together. So when you join with someone physically, you're joining with them spiritually. So I'm going to try to make you a potion that just helps your perspective out a little bit. Mañana guara mama kenira boe. Cleanse his spirit. Let him see. Let him see. Let him see.
Okay.
This is your potion oil. You're going to use this to focus. You're going to use this to get to your highest level of consciousness.
It smells really good.
Let's work a little faster.
This universe is just a speck of dust in the eye of God.
Each of us have it's like a direct radio link to higher wisdom.
There's one power, there's one presence, there's one life, there's one God.
Everything is energy.
How to serve Mass, and you were very squirmy. I remember that.
What do you think about this live in the now thing? You ever hear that?
No, I haven't, but I think it's a good idea. You know, yesterday is history, and tomorrow's mystery. So all we have is today. You know, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So, as the old Latin say, carpe diem, seize the day.
Most people spend the first half of their life saying, I'm too young for that stuff. And the second half of their life saying, I'm too old for that stuff. People don't fail because they want to fail. People fail because they don't know how to succeed. And as Napoleon said, those who fail to plan can plan to fail. We've got to come up with a plan, people. We've got to come up with a plan, because you're not just going to wake up one morning, look in the mirror and say, there you are, best version of myself. Where have you been? I've been waiting for you to show up. We've got to come up with a plan. And how do we do that? We've got to get into the classroom of silence. We need silence. You're not going to discover the best version of yourself out there in that crazy, noisy, busy world where we wake up to clock radios and listen to radio while we shower, watch television while we eat breakfast, listen to radio in the car on the way to work, listen to radio all day over the intercom network, make phone calls, get put on hold, listen to radio. We got Walkmans and Discmans, we got DV demons, we got cell phones, pages, internet, CDs, TVs, DVDs, iPods. We got so much noise we can't even hear our own thoughts. And you're not going to find the best version of yourself out there in all that noise. silence, where you discover the best version of yourself.
You may call it love, you may call it compassion, you may call it bodhicitta, whatever you may call it. Literally speaking, that basic goodness, try to recognize that. Recognizing that alone is not going to work. You have to nurture it. After nurturing it, then widen its horizon.
I don't think happiness is a feeling. I think happiness is a state of mind. It's having an awareness that there is a supreme being, a God, that is in control of everything, and that somehow that higher power has an affection for you and for me and for everybody, and is in the process of creating good out of all things. I believe that Jesus wants us to experience the relationship with other people. I think he wants us to enjoy this creation that he made for us. He created this spaceship. That's what it is. It's a spaceship. And we are stuck on this spaceship. God created it. He designed it. He put us here. He put us here for a reason. I know that. He put us here to experience the spiritual realities of faith, hope, and love, and to share that with as many people as we can. And how we do that will depend upon the specific task that he has given to us as the individuals and the reason he made us.
How do you know that you've accepted Jesus? How do you know that you're going to heaven? How can you be sure?
Well, you can be sure if you've confessed Jesus as your Lord.
You're saying that you could have salvation in a moment, in an instant. That's all it takes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No matter what you've done up to this point.
Correct.
All it takes is 1 second. Bam.
Correct.
You're in heaven.
Yeah.
When people ask me, am I religious? The answer is, of course not. I'm just a Jew, and I'm a surfer, and I just believe in God. Like everything else, there's a certain preface to where you want to go in life. And surfing develops in a person a lot of inner discipline and determination to not give up. Because a real surfer has got to be able to take his lumps, wait out those long periods of no waves, and be able to do it with tremendous discipline and not lose interest. Part of a religious quest is to keep that focus. For a lot of people, it's difficult because they don't have the inner discipline to do it. Not because they don't want to. They don't have the desire that can keep that fire burning day after day. For people to maintain that high level of interest in anything, it's not just religion. Whether you're an actor, whether you're an artist, it's very, very difficult to do. Surfing is something that keeps you absolutely focused. When I'm not surfing, I'm getting in shape, getting ready for the next swell. It doesn't matter what religion it is. It doesn't matter what you're pursuing in life. The whole issue is to not lose focus. But the basis has to be the attitude and the perseverance, the ability to wake up every morning and just plug away as though nothing in the world was mattering except your own pursuit after that religious experience. When you're surfing, after a while, you're going so fast, and there's so much energy and power. It's an outer body experience in a way. And that's the religious experience in a nutshell.
So there's this story in the Western monastic tradition, which is also a story that the Buddhists have, where these two monks are walking along, and then they come to a river, and the river needs to be crossed. And then there's a woman that appears at the same place at the same time and says, "Can you help me across?" So one of the monks picks her up and goes through the river and puts her down, and then the monks continue walking. And about a mile later, the monk that didn't pick up the woman says, "Brother, I was so surprised you touched that woman." And the one who picked her up and put her across the river said, "But brother, I put her down a mile ago and you're still carrying her with you." So it's natural for us to be attracted to another person, to have the desire for family or the desire for intimacy. And in some senses, monks are about intimacy too, but they're about intimacy with God. They see this as the interpenetration of God with the soul.
Praise the God Almighty, to His Son Jesus Christ the Lord, to the Spirit who dwells in our hearts, both now and forevermore.
To a potential monk, I mean, what do you tell them are the advantages? Well, obviously the advantage is that you find a life where you find meaning. That's the main advantage, I think, don't you? Well, is the pay good? Of course, there's no pay, but the retirement benefits are out of this world. Can you get out? You mean like leave? Well, I mean, maybe take a year off, like a sabbatical, and not be a monk for a year and then come back. Well, it depends what you mean by not be a monk, you know? We've sent people off to study for a year, but they're still a monk. So you mean by, like, just sort of suspend your vows for a year? Yeah, I don't want to follow the rules for a year. You take a leave of absence from this life if you need to and want to, but then you have to be honest what you really want to do. And that you didn't call God, you called God love, beauty. But I did notice in the service tonight that you do use the word God now. So when, after your transformation, did you become friendly with the word God?
When I say the word God, I'm speaking about life.
Can leave everybody burned to death. If you can't help somebody, don't hurt them. We're all suffering enough already. Give people more respect than you expect for yourself. And if you got nothing good to say, shut the up, put a harmonica in your mouth. That's why I do it. So people don't recognize you're a fool. That's it. Wake up, sleeping soul. Wake up, sleeping soul.
I don't know what would happen to Hollywood or what would happen to athletes or what would happen to movie stars if folk were not groupies anymore. I think the industry would still succeed, but I don't know if people would hold it in the kind of esteem that they do. But imagine people just following folk, and that's what...
Happiness has to be within. That being the case, what is important is to know, okay, I have been working all these years. I've gone to college, I got a degree, I tried to get a job, but still I'm where I was. So what is really happiness? And we need to talk to our own self. Hey, Sean, what is wrong? What is lacking with you?
They do. They follow folk trying to be like them. And maybe we need to have everybody understand that you are a unique creature made in God's image and fashioned after God's likeness. And if you just develop into being the best that you can be, that's better than a false anybody else who you can't be anyway.
The reality is, in humanity, there is a desire to want to worship. What we do is misplace who ought to be worshipped. We worship other people who do what we find difficult to do, and we live our lives through what they do, as opposed to recognizing that they don't deserve our worship. The only one worthy of worship is God, because God has made all of us and given us any ability or capacity or potential that we possess. And so we ought to be thankful for whatever it is we are privileged to achieve, because if we hadn't been given what we were given, we would not have been able to do that anyway.
I'm not here because I have to be here. I'm here by choice, because I understand that currently we are in the material world, and it's like being in a house which is on fire. If you're awake and all your family members are sleeping in a house that's on fire, what kind of individual would you be if you just run out thinking about yourself?